Dante's Inferno is the first part of Dante Alighieri's Divine Comedy, a long narrative poem that describes the poet's journey through hell, purgatory, and heaven. In the Inferno, Dante travels through the 9 circles of hell, where the souls of the damned are punished for their sins. In the Inferno, Dante tells the story of his journey through the circles of hell, where he encounters a variety of characters who are punished for their sins in various ways. The journey through hell serves as a warning to readers to avoid committing the same sins and to strive for a virtuous life. This is the first part of the Divine Comedy, Dante's Inferno. Before we begin, kindly consider subscribing to our channel and like the video. It begins when Dante, the main character of the poem, becomes lost in a dark forest and is met by 3 beasts that block his path. He is saved by Virgil, who offers to guide him through hell and purgatory and help him find his way back to the right path. Virgil represents reason and wisdom, and he serves as a mentor and guide to Dante throughout the journey. He helps Dante understand the nature of sin and the importance of repenting and seeking redemption. They begin to journey and are met with Charon, the one who ferries the souls of the damned across the river Acheron into hell. They reach the gates of hell, inscribed with the famous phrase Lasciatone speranza voi contrate, which means abandon all hope, you who enter here. These words serve as a warning to all those who enter hell, as it is a place of eternal suffering and punishment for the wicked. The gates of hell are described as being made of solid brass and having doors that are locked and guarded by Charon. The gates of hell serve as a metaphor for the point of no return, beyond which there is no hope of redemption or salvation. They represent the final barrier between the living and the dead, and the point at which the souls of the damned are irrevocably committed to their fate. They arrive at first circle of hell, Limbo, a peaceful, shadowy realm where the souls of the unbaptized and the virtuous pagans go. It is not a place of punishment, but rather a place of regret and longing for the opportunity to attain salvation and consigned to a state of contemplation and longing for the eternal life that they are denied. It is a place that is inhabited by great philosophers and scholars of the ancient world, including Aristotle, Plato, and Cicero. These souls are not punished for any particular sins, but rather are denied the opportunity to experience the fullness of God's love because they lived before the coming of Jesus Christ and were not able to receive the sacrament of baptism. They journey into the second circle where they meet Minos at the entrance. He is described as a giant serpent with the head of a man. Minos serves as the judge of the souls of the damned, and he is responsible for determining the appropriate circle of hell in which each soul should be punished. He is described as wrapping his tail around himself a certain number of times to indicate the circle in which each soul should be punished. The souls of the damned must then pass through the circle indicated by Minos, and they are unable to return once they have entered. Minos serves as a symbol of judgment and the consequences of sin in the afterlife. He represents the authority of the underworld and the finality of the decisions made in the afterlife. The second circle of hell is reserved for those who were guilty of the sin of lust, mostly comprising of kings, queens, and rulers. The souls of the lustful are punished by being blown about by strong winds, symbolizing the restless and tumultuous nature of their desires. They pass Minos and journey into the third circle, Gluttony. Here, the souls of the gluttonous are punished by being forced to lie in a muddy swamp. The swamp represents the mire of their own excesses and the dirtiness of their actions. The souls are unable to escape the muck and are forever stuck in the filth of their own making. They meet Cerberus, a giant, 3-headed dog with a serpent's tail, sharp teeth, and a mane of snakes. He is the guardian of the third circle of hell and has ravenous appetite. He is responsible for devouring the souls of the damned who are punished in this circle. Virgil manages to calm Cerberus and they pass through to the fourth circle, Greed. This place is reserved for the souls of the greedy. These are individuals who allowed their desire for wealth and material possessions to consume them and who committed acts of greed during their lifetime. In the fourth circle, the souls of the greedy are punished by being forced to push heavy weights against one another. The weights represent the burden of their own excesses and the weight of their actions. The souls are unable to find rest and are forever trapped in a cycle of endless labor. They keep journeying until they reach the fifth circle, reserved for the souls of the wrathful and the sullen. These are individuals who allowed their anger and resentment to consume them and who committed acts of anger during their lifetime. In the fifth circle, the souls of the wrathful are punished by being submerged in a lake of boiling blood and slime. The lake represents the mire of their own negative emotions and the dirtiness of their actions. The souls are unable to escape the muck and are forever stuck in the filth of their own making. The souls of the sullen, on the other hand, are punished by being submerged in a lake of stagnant water. They represent those who were too angry to speak or act, and who allowed their anger and resentment to fester inside of them. In the distance, Dante notices fiery towers, and Virgil explains they are approaching the city of Dis, the capital of the underworld, located in the region of hell known as Lower Hell. Dis is a walled city with high gates and towers. The city is guarded by fallen angels, who are tasked with preventing the damned from escaping the underworld. Dante and Virgil are initially denied entry, bringing some doubts into Dante's mind on the capabilities of Virgil as his guide through hell. They are eventually let in by an angel and realize this place of great suffering and torment contains circles 6 through 9. The sixth circle of hell is reserved for the souls of the heretics. Here he found Epicureans, a group of philosophers who practiced Epicureanism, a philosophy that emphasizes the pursuit of pleasure and the avoidance of pain as the highest good. Epicureans believed that the key to living a good life was to cultivate a state of ataraxia, or peace of mind. By eliminating fear and anxiety, they saw the pursuit of physical pleasure as a natural and necessary part of human life. These are individuals who held beliefs that went against the teachings of the Church and denied the existence of God and the divine order of the universe. The souls of the heretics are punished by being trapped in flaming tombs. The tombs represent the separation from God and the eternal punishment that awaits those who reject the teachings of the Church. The souls are unable to escape the tombs and are forever trapped in the flames of their own disbelief. They then proceed to the seventh circle of hell, which is reserved for the souls of the violent. It is divided into 3 rings, each of which is reserved for a different type of violence. The outer ring is reserved for those individuals who committed acts of violence against other people, such as murder, assault, or robbery. The souls of these damned are forced to stand in the boiling, blood-red river, while they are pursued by centaurs armed with bows and arrows. The middle ring is reserved for those who were violent against themselves and committed acts such as taking their own lives. These souls are transformed into twisted, thorny trees that are forever gnarled and twisted in agony. The inner ring is reserved for those who were violent against God, art, and nature. These are individuals who committed acts of sacrilege, blasphemy, or vandalism. The souls in this ring are punished by being rained by fire while lying on lava like sand, left to an eternity of burning. They journey down a waterfall into the 8th circle of hell, known as Mali Bulge, which is reserved for the souls of the fraudulent. It is divided into 10 bolgias, or pits, each of which is reserved for a different type of fraud. The first bolgia is reserved for pandarers and seducers, who use their charm and manipulation to deceive others. They are punished by forever being whipped by demons as they walk around the outer pit. The second bolgia is reserved for flatterers, who use insincere flattery to deceive and manipulate others. They are covered in their own filth and do nothing but howl at each other. The third Bolgia is reserved for those who commit simony, which is the buying and selling of spiritual goods and favors. They were placed headfirst in holes with flames burning their feet. The fourth Bolgia is reserved for sorcerers, who use magic and deception to manipulate others. They had their heads twisted backwards and could only look back at other distorted bodies. The fifth Bolgia is reserved for corrupt politicians who abuse their power and position for personal gain. They were placed in a lake of boiling tar. The sixth Bolgia is reserved for corrupt clergy who abuse their spiritual authority for personal gain. They wore weighted clothes and were forever walking in confusion. The seventh Bolgia is reserved for thieves who use stealth and deception to steal from others. They were naked and being chased by snakes, their arms bound on their backs. The eighth Bolgia is reserved for those who commit fraud, those who use lies and deception to deceive others. They were burning in a deep pit with high flames. The ninth Bolgia is reserved for those who created divisions among people. They were being hacked away by a demon, their bodies torn into pieces. They would eventually regenerate, and the demon would tear them apart again, and the cycle would go on for eternity. The 10th and final Bolgia is reserved for the falsifiers, alchemists, counterfeiters, and impostors. They were foul-smelling, disease-ridden, and experienced every plague possible. They then approach a giant well, which was the 9th and final circle of hell, known as Cocytus. It is reserved for the most heinous sinners. It is divided into 4 concentric zones. The outermost zone of is reserved for those who betrayed their family members or close associates. These are individuals who betrayed the trust and loyalty of those closest to them, causing harm and damage to relationships and communities. The second zone is reserved for those who betrayed their country or their political leader. These are individuals who betrayed the trust and loyalty of their fellow citizens or their nation, causing harm and damage to the larger community. The third zone is reserved for those who betrayed their guests or hosts. These are individuals who betrayed the trust and hospitality of those who welcomed them into their homes, causing harm and damage to social norms and relationships. These sinners in these 3 zones are submerged in a lake of ice up to their heads, and they can only move their heads noisily arguing, talking, or complaining. The innermost zone is reserved for Judas Iscariot, who betrayed Jesus Christ, his spiritual leader and friend. Judas is considered the ultimate traitor, and his betrayal is seen as one of the greatest acts of treachery in history. Here he is fully submerged in ice, frozen and in silence. They then reach the center of hell, where he sees Lucifer, trapped in the frozen lake at the center of hell, where he is punished for his own sin of rebellion against God. Dante is taken aback by his large size. He is depicted as a giant, demonic being with 3 heads, each of which is a different color. One is black, one is red, and one is yellow, and is waist deep in the ice, with his wings stuck in the frozen lake and his lower body submerged in the ice. Each of the heads represents a different category of sin. The black head represents treachery, the red head represents violence, and the yellow head represents fraud. And his mouths are open, each chewing on one of the 3 greatest sinners in history, Judas Iscariot, Brutus, and Cassius. As they finish their journey through hell, Virgil ushers Dante onto the way out of hell. They climb back to Earth through the crater left by Lucifer when he crashed into Earth, ready for their next journey. Thanks for watching this video. We truly appreciate your support. Make sure you leave a comment down below, like the video, and hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to turn on notifications so that you don't miss out on new videos.